Severe weather season across Indiana is off to a fast and rough start. I'm 13 News meteorologist Matt Standridge. As we're getting closer to the end of March, we just wanted to talk about what we've seen so far. We had a really active middle part of the month with all these warnings issued by the National Weather Service. We have great meteorologists at NWS Indy and then all the way to Louisville, Paducah, into central Illinois, Chicago, and northern Indiana. They all kind of contribute towards this whole state. All the yellow boxes, those shows you all the severe thunderstorm warnings we've had. And remember, severe thunderstorm warnings are issued when you have at least quarter-sized hail and or gusts that are at least up to about 60 miles per hour or so. So we've had so many severe thunderstorm warnings, and then we've had the tornado warnings. Those are in red. And where you have the orange colors, it's just because you have a tornado warning underneath the yellow layer. So red and yellow, you put together, it's orange. So the orange ones show kind of a combo of both. The green show you flood warnings. We haven't had as many of those. Those have been more south towards Kentucky, but my goodness, it's been an active start. So out of these tornado warnings, how many tornadoes have actually touched the ground? 14. That's the count for 2025 so far. That is a fast start. On average for the month of March, the whole state combined together should get 2 to 3. So we're well beyond that. See all the different ones we've had. The colors show you the strength. So this kind of bluish teal color, EF0, the greens, EF1s, and then the yellows, EF2s, and you can kind of see some of these pass. But 14 tornadoes so far. They've come in 2 different batches. We had one on a Saturday, March 15th. Those came with 8 tornadoes. And then coming up there towards Wednesday on the 19th of the month, we had an additional 6 tornadoes. So 8, 6, put that together, 14 total. Let's talk about the 8 tornadoes that we had on Saturday really quick to recap. You're going to see some of these. These are the tornadoes that we had on Wednesday the 19th. So ignore those for just a moment. We had an EF0 there in Lake County just outside of Maryville, kind of here's Schererville. So in between, we had that went to the north and east. And we had a very brief touchdown of an EF1 tornado just west of Cedar Lake. But while we still have this up, look how many tornadoes Lake County has had. This is our most northwestern county of Indiana. Very active start. Now, a lot of times this was the same storm that kind of produced 2 different rotations, and we think this storm, it was the same rotation, but put down a tornado, and then it lifted back up and just kind of kept doing it over and over again, but they weren't able to connect all the damage. So you have technically separate tornadoes, but nonetheless, very active start for Lake County. Then we take you south towards Park County. We had an EF1 tornado. This line shows you the path where it just went right past Mecca, didn't get to Rockville, stayed out towards the west of Leatherwood, but we had that EF1 tornado there on Saturday. We had a quick EF1 tornado there in Jackson County. Here's Brownstown, so stay just south of Brownstown. The Brownstown boys high school basketball team made it to semi-state, so they were very close to getting a tornado towards their neck of the woods. Then we head south into Orange County. This was an interesting tornado because this could have been really destructive. It touched down just east of West Baden Springs. You know, the hotels, the resorts, just outside of French Lick and West Baden Springs. Touchdown just outside, just east of the cart track there in town. Moved north and east out towards more rural country of Orange County, and then end up in Orleans, and then finally pick up. Orleans also has their high school boys state semifinals coming up. They were able to make it. So we're rooting on all these teams across central Indiana. And then the big tornado from Saturday, March 15th was this EF2 that started in Gibson County and then went right through the Oakland City area, right through Pike County, crossed the river and went right through Lagodi. I know the yellow kind of stops, this kind of a mapping error, but still EF2 tornado right in the Martin County. Now for this one, it wasn't an EF2 the whole time. It kind of differed in its strength, and that's normal for all these tornadoes. But how we rate them is we take the highest damage rating, and that classifies the whole width. We've got to figure out a certain standard, so that's the standard that we've decided to go with. And so EF2 tornado there in varying strength there towards southwestern Indiana. And then we had 2 more. A lot of these were kind of part of the same line of storms coming on through. EF0 there just outside of Silverville, and this is all in Lawrence County, stay just north of Fayetteville and Eureka, and then we had another quick touchdown there close to Needmore, but that was headed to the north and east as well. So you can kind of see those tracks, a lot of concentration southwest. Of course, we have that Park County tornado, and then northwest Indiana had a lot of activity as well. Closer to Indy, east, northeast, We had thunderstorms, but we didn't have any tornado touchdowns. We had some wind damage, though, and sometimes wind damage is just as bad as a tornado. You can get wind speeds, well over 70 miles per hour in some of these storms, which would be about an EF0. You can even get storms a little bit faster with a wind speed, or a microburst or something that could have speeds up to an EF1 tornado, and that's more widespread, so sometimes those can be even worse. Then we get to Wednesday, March 19th. More tornadoes popping up. This is an additional 6. This helps us get to that full total of 14. The big one was in Bartholomew County, and then we still have more tornadoes in Lake County and then northern Miami County. We'll start in Bartholomew County. This one went at least 13 miles, I think about 13 and a half or so. It actually started just next to I-65, went by Rosstown, and then it crossed over Waynesville, crossed the East Fork White River, and then headed into a US 31 just north and west of Elizabethtown. Here's Columbus, city of Columbus, big city, and we were just, as the crow flies, 3 miles or so, maybe 3.5 miles to downtown, but the outskirts about 2 miles. So very close to Columbus with this stronger tornado. Then crossed State Road 9. This is kind of this backward L shape. That's State Road 9, and continued off to the north and east. We've got Decatur County just east of here. It looks like it picked up. We have had some reports of some minor damage in Decatur County. So far, the National Weather Service classifying more of that as wind damage, but you just never know. As a wind speed pushes on through, you can get kind of a whirlpool in the atmosphere to form just really quickly, kind of a gustnado type of thing for a quick second or two. And so that is always possible, but these are all the confirmed tracks by the National Weather Service. So EF2 there, they're just south of Columbus and Bartholomew County. And then I want to show you some others as we head farther to the north. I want to take you north to Miami County. You can see the EF0 that we had in the northern part of the county. It was a very brief tornado. It actually did cross the county line into Fulton County briefly, but some rural country up to the north. That was Miami and Fulton counties for that EF0 tornado. And then we had another tornado, or a series of tornadoes farther to the north and west. Same storm, same rotation. It just kept putting down tornadoes and bring them back up, put it back down, and every time that happens, you have to actually classify it as a separate tornado. So in a way, it could have been one, but it did pick up. So we had one just south of Highland, there, and a couple more just east of Hammond and coming in towards the Gary area. You're starting to get kind of congested, a lot more people here in extreme northwestern Lake County into some of these outer suburbs of Chicago, and then picked up before it got right to the lakeshore, close to the Indiana Dunes and the Ogden Dunes there. But Lake County, my goodness, 4 and then another 2. That's just 6 total for Lake County. A lot of tornadoes so far. Remember, average 2 to 3 for the month of March. And it looks like we may be a bit on the quieter side for the end of the month, but April will be right here with more severe weather likely. Here are all the storm reports that we had. This is just actually for Wednesday. I just wanted to bring this up because it's not all about tornadoes. We've got a lot of hail damage and wind damage across the state too. And that was more equally shared across the whole state. And you do see at least 2 of the tornadoes that we had there on Wednesday that were definitely confirmed, and then the others were eventually confirmed as well. All right, the month of March, where do we normally typically see tornadoes? Well, we do have them here in the month of March. I mean, we just proved it. But the problem is, it's usually very low chance, 2 to 3. The higher chances of tornadoes are farther to the south in states like Arkansas and Louisiana, the deep south into Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of Tennessee. But we've seen with these warmer stretches, a lot more warm air has made it to the north, and you can't sustain that forever in March. Eventually, a front has to come on through, and each front that's come on through to knock us down has brought more of that severe weather. But normally, we do see the higher severe risks to the south, and over time throughout the spring, we're going to see these colors balloon, and eventually we'll get into this very high category kind of popping up there over the southern plains. So March can be active. This has been a very active March. Here's a look at all the different states and the average number of tornadoes that they usually have in the month of March. This is coming in from the SPC. So you notice some of these hot spots that we have, bigger numbers to the south. Even Illinois at 5, they've had a way past 5. A lot of these states that farther to the south, they're still confirming some of the tornadoes, but they're ranging 10 up to about 31, 32 tornadoes in some of these states. Alabama's been one of the worst. Mississippi has been pretty bad too. Northeast Arkansas has had some of the strongest tornadoes. Parts of Illinois have had a lot of tornadoes as well. Very active, but you can see it's just way more active than normal. And something that our weather team put together is a severe weather outlook that you can find on WTHR Plus. And we talk about the increase. This is one of those graphics, but here's the thing. This is a way bigger increase than we kind of even expected. We expected an increase, but my goodness. On average, 2 to 3 tornadoes in the month of March for Indiana. These are statewide totals. In April, we go up to 3 to 4, and May and June are usually higher months. But then we looked at years. in seasons where we had a weak La Nina that ends. You go in what we call enso neutral. You know, you hear El Nino and La Nina and you kind of get confusing on the difference between the two. But no one ever talks about the middle though, and that's where we're kind of headed in this enso phase. That means the Pacific Ocean waters there in the Eastern Pacific, they're about normal, what they should be. And when we've seen a weakling La Nina go to an enso neutral throughout the spring season, over the past 50 years is what we've seen. We've seen more tornadoes in March and April. Now we are well beyond that 3 to 4 range, you know, but that was the average. So we usually saw a little bit more activity for tornadoes, and that's what the case has been. Maybe we'll kind of follow this trend, you know, don't look at the exact numbers, but the trend would kind of show a bigger tornado output in March and April, and then maybe equalizing out or even decreasing for the second half of May. We'll have to see. You never know. Things around Indiana can change, of course, but 14 tornadoes, that's what the count is right now. Here's all of them across the state. My goodness, what a cluster there in Lake County. And then southern Indiana's had the bigger tornadoes, the 2 EF2s that we've had, and a few EF1s there to the south, and then one outside of Terre Haute. Now this one's for Park County, real quick. Terre Haute, there were a couple reports of a tornado touching down on the Wednesday storm system. However, National Weather Service went out there and they couldn't find any damage. It was kind of just past the airport, and you guys know the airport for Terre Haute is on the east side of the city, and it was kind of beyond that, so you get into some rural country. So it could have touched down and not hit anything, and it's just hard to find. Or maybe the funnel cloud wasn't quite reaching the ground. Maybe it was a little bit harder for the spotters to tell, but nothing confirmed there for Terre Haute, but it does look like it with this icon closed, just kind of zoomed out. But this is more for Park County for the storm on Saturday. Delphi had some big storms and some damage. So far that's going with wind damage, but the National Weather Service could change their mind. So this number may be edited, but a lot of the surveys are wrapping up right now. And so there's a decent chance that we are capped at 14. We'll let you know if that changes, but very active start for the month of March and for 2025 spring season overall.